Hey guys, so now we're going to talk about color correction. So some people have talked about how they forget to re-white balance and so their video comes in a little blue or maybe or green or orange or something along those lines. So I'm going to show you a couple things that you can do to help with color correction. So first things first, I'm going to import a clip. So let's go ahead and import a clip. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Okay, so Mary came in and had a question about how to color correct. So I'm going to use her clip, so sorry Mary, but let's change sequence settings. Okay, so let's zoom. So really quick, something if you guys aren't familiar with is you can see this window here. You can zoom in if you want, or you can say to fit. It depends to you if you want to zoom in, zoom out, things like that. But my apologies for not explaining what I was doing earlier. But as you can see, this color is a little yellow right here. And so I'm going to show you how to make it not yellow. So if you double click on your clip, and then you click this color option right here, you can do one of two things. We're going to go into basic correction. If it looks like this, all you have to do is just click on it. But the easiest way to color correct is this eyedropper button right here. If you click on this, you can select something in your shot that's supposed to be white, and then it will adjust your shot for that. So it's just like your white balancing, but in post. So I'm assuming these converses, this part is supposed to be white. So let's click here. And then now it's auto adjusting for everything that's supposed to be, for what's supposed to be white. So then it adjusts all the colors accordingly. I'm going to close this title screen really quick. So if you go to effects over here, and all you can do is just double click, go to effects up here, and you can see that this color options, I think it's pronounced Lumetri, I'm not exactly sure, but if you toggle this FX button on and off, you can compare what it was before and after. So as you can see, very big difference in color options there. So I'm going to go ahead and put in another clip here. Now this clip was filmed, and this one you can see it's a little blue, and so I'm going to want to make it a little on the warmer tone side here. So I'm going to double click this, select color, which it already is, make sure I'm in basic correction, and instead of using this eyedropper, which is perfectly fine if you want to do that, I'm going to manually do some adjusting. So you can see here temperature. You can make it more blue or more on the orange side or the warmer side. And since this is already blue, I'm going to adjust it so that way it's a little on the warmer side here. And then same for tint here if you want to make it more on the green side or more on the pink. But since he was already kind of blue, I'm going to move it more towards the pink side. Exposure lets you overexpose or underexpose. If you have something that's overexposed, you can boost it or lower it, or you can boost it a little bit if you think it's too dark. Contrast brings out some more blacks in the shot if you want to really separate him from the background, but you don't want to do too much because then it's going to look really weird. So let's boost it down, let's lower it there. Highlights, you can dim certain spots on his face that you can see where the lighting was, and then you can make it even heightened. So I'm going to bring it down a hair right there. So as you can see, if you wanted to look in your preview, you can see the before and after. And so you can see the big difference. Now he's more separated from the background. He looks lively. He doesn't look as pale and as blue as there. So that's really a great improvement. Something else that you can do is, I'm going to select reset. So if you are color correcting, you're like, oh my gosh, this was the worst mistake I've ever made, you can select reset and it's going to reset it back to what it originally was on these tone areas, and then up here you're going to have to manually go back to 0 and to 0 there. So if you don't want to mess with any of the color correction, you think that's too complicated, you could hit this auto button. Sometimes auto does a great job, sometimes it doesn't, but it's the computer is trying to tell you what it thinks would be a good color option for this clip. So if you select auto, you see how it does it a little bit. It's mostly just kind of messing with the different exposure levels here and stuff. And so that's when we would manually go in and adjust the color itself. So up to you on, you know, which way you want to color correct. These are a couple different options. I find it to be the easiest option. There are other color correction options within Premiere that I'm going to talk a little bit about. They're under Effects, and if we type in color, you have the brightness and contrast, which is just like your exposure and contrast here. And then you also have something that's called fast color corrector and three-way color corrector. So let's drop fast color corrector because that's the one that I think is the easiest, because three-way color corrector focuses on like midtones and shadows and highlights, and you're correcting those different elements as opposed to just the image as a whole. And that is going to be a lot of complicated things if you guys aren't familiar with color correction, so I'm going to advise against that. But fast color corrector, you can still use. I think this Lumetri color is an easier option, but you're obviously more than welcome to use the fast color corrector. So if you double click on it, go to effects, you can see that our fast color corrector is here now. So I'm going to turn off our Lumetri one, and then you have the same white balance thing. You can do this and you can select the white on his shirt. You can see that this is moving the color wheel, and this color wheel is kind of, you see the blue here and the pinks, it's just you're dragged to what side of the color wheel you want to go on. But you don't want to do it too much because then it's too intense. So really you're not going to want to adjust it to too much. So as you can see, this one is a little more complicated, and you're going to need to know a little more of the settings here in order to do various color correction techniques and things and different input levels and things like that. So completely up to you as to which option you want to do. But I personally think the Lumetri color corrector is easier for beginners, and I think it does a really nice job. It does a quick and dirty way of doing it. So something that I want to talk to you guys about is, let's say that you had filmed something that was in the same location but on multiple clips, and so you wanted to color correct just one and not have to color correct all of them and try to match the settings. You can do something that's called copy and paste attributes. So let's pretend that this clip that we color corrected, you wanted to have the same profile settings as this clip here. So if you right click or control click, depending on what computer you're on, if you hit copy and then select this, and let's remove this color option, so that way if you hit paste attributes, so once you select that, it's going to show up saying, do you want the motion side, the opacity, volume, what do you want to paste the attributes? So if you just select effects, you're going to say, I want just the Lumetri color option here. So if you hit OK, then it's going to try to match the color settings that you have here. And that way you don't have to color correct all of them. So very, very nice option. You can do copy and paste attributes for if you zoomed in at a certain location or if you had it in a certain position that you wanted. Things like that. So that's a really good option for you guys if you guys don't want to have to go through and manually color correct every single clip. But it only will work if lighting situations are similar type of thing. So as you can see, even though, you know, this is what this setting looks like, Mary's going to look a little different because her lighting was different, and then this was filmed in a controlled lighting situation here. So just use it sparingly, really, you know, decide if what you want to copy and paste the attributes as. So again, really fast way of color correction. There's, as you can see, there's a lot of different options within the Lumetri options. I'm not going to go into them because I don't think you guys need to know them. You guys are probably just in the beginner stage of color correction. So let's just stick with basic color correction up here. So hopefully you found this helpful.